I was reborn on the day Damien Thorne got jumped by his bastard half-brother in that fucking alley. This time, I didn't call the cops. And I didn't rush in to take the beating for him. Instead, I put on my headphones and walked the fuck away. Damien ended up with a broken left leg and blind in his right eye. And me? I changed my name, fled the country, and vanished off the face of the earth, right under his goddamn nose. In my last life, I loved him down to my bones. For him, the tendons in my wrists were slashed, I went deaf in both ears, and I was crippled for life. He acted like he cherished me. Protected me. But on our 10th wedding anniversary, he fucking shoved me off a cliff. You ruined my life, and you killed Isabel, he snarled. Letting you live this long was already too generous. As I fell, I saw him kiss a picture of his first love. That's when it hit me. He truly believed I'd trapped him, used saving his life to force him into marrying me. He thought I was the bitch responsible for destroying his happiness. Reborn, I decided to get out first this time. I'd respect their fucking twisted love story. The falling sensation vanished. I snapped awake. I heard the sickening thud of fists hitting flesh coming from the alley nearby. Damien Thorne's muffled roars followed. Holy shit. I realized I was actually reborn. And reborn on the exact day Damien was getting the shit beat out of him by Caleb Vance. Caleb, you piece of shit, don't think I don't know it's you. Grow some balls, you coward. Dare to do it, dare to admit it. I peeked around the corner. Damien was stuffed in a burlap sack. Caleb and a gang of big, burly assholes were kicking and punching the living daylights out of him. Caleb, I'm warning you, let me go right fucking now, or I'll make you pay for the rest of your miserable life. Caleb was already seeing red, his fury boiling over at the threat. Damien, you really won't learn until you're dead, will you? I came here to kill you today. He bent down, picking up a short blade. At the same time, the other guys pulled out knives of various sizes. The glint of steel reflected in the dim light. I couldn't help but shiver. But I quickly shoved my earbuds in. I turned and walked away briskly, just before Damien's scream ripped through the air. Last time, before the knives even came out, I had rushed in. I threw myself over Damien, shielding him with my body. I took the punches, the kicks, the curses, for him. And Caleb's knife left me permanently disabled. The Thorne family was grateful I saved Damien's life. They paid for my medical treatment. They even made Damien marry me. My family's martial arts gym got a huge investment because of it, expanding nationwide. After we got married, Damien treated me well. My fingers were weak, useless, so he hired maids for me. Everything was taken care of, big or small. My ears couldn't hear, so he got me the best hearing aids money could buy. When treatments failed and I became gradually paralyzed, he insisted on taking care of me himself. He never let me feel neglected or wronged. Everyone said my suffering was rewarded. That this was my blessing for being a hero. I drowned myself in that supposed happiness. I truly believed we would grow old together like this. Until our 10th anniversary. He sent everyone away, insisting on carrying me up the mountain himself. We reached the summit just as the sun was setting. Thrilled, I leaned against him, whispering I wanted to wish for us to be together forever. I never expected his response. You don't deserve it. His voice was ice cold. 10 years ago, you deliberately got hurt saving me. Then you used that debt to force my family to make me marry you. You ruined my entire life. And you got Isabel killed. Being paralyzed is too good for you. Today is the anniversary of Isabel's death. Why don't you see what it feels like to fall from this high? Consider it penance for what you did to her. I was stunned. Frozen. Then he shoved me, hard, off the edge of the cliff. As I plummeted, my vision filled with the sight of Damien Thorne pulling out Isabel Moreau's photo. He kissed it like a fucking prayer. Fear and despair amplified everything. I could feel the raw hatred pouring off him. So he'd always thought I was manipulating him, using his parents' guilt to trap him. And Isabel, the love of his life, had left the country on our wedding day. Her plane crashed. No body was ever found. For 10 fucking years, he pretended to love me. It was all an act. Just slowly wearing down my defenses. Waiting for the moment I let my guard down. Then delivering the fatal blow. But thank fucking God, I was reborn. This time I wouldn't stick my nose where it didn't belong. Since you love her so much, Damien, I'll let you have her. With that thought, I borrowed a stranger's phone. I sent a quick text to Isabel Moreau. Alley across from the Tech Museum. Damien Thorne is being beaten to death. If you don't go now, he'll die. Then I immediately blocked the number before handing the phone back. I watched from a distance, hidden in the shadows. I saw Isabel rush into the alley with 2 guys. The sounds from the alley became a chaotic mix, agonized cries, Isabel frantically shouting Damien's name, Caleb's furious curses. About 15 minutes later, sirens wailed. An ambulance arrived. Caleb and his crew scrambled over a wall and disappeared. I watched with my own eyes as they carried Damien out on a stretcher. He was covered in blood, groaning in pain, unable to form a single coherent word. Right after him, they carried out Isabel. Blood streamed from her right ear. Amid the chaos, I put my headphones back on again. I turned and walked away. Damien Thorne, this time the person who saved you is the one you love. Let's see how fucking happy the 2 of you can be without me in the picture. News broke that very night. The heir to the Thorne fortune had been brutally attacked and hospitalized. Left leg broken. Right eye blinded by a stab wound. And his girlfriend, Isabel Moreau, had heroically saved him. But she'd been stabbed in the right ear in the process, leaving her completely deaf on that side. Damien reported it to the police. He insisted the attackers were led by Caleb Vance, his father's bastard son. But strangely enough, Caleb had an alibi. He was at an auction out of town that day, with video footage to prove it. Suddenly, Damien, the victim, looked like a liar. Is the Thorne heir that scared of the bastard son stealing his inheritance? Is he faking this? Damn, that's smart if it is. Willing to hurt himself that badly. Good thing there was security footage, or his scheme might have worked. I was packing my bags when I saw the news. Fate gave me a second chance. It wanted me away from Damien Thorne. I had to get out of the country, fast. Minimize any chance of crossing paths again. A few days later, my visa still wasn't processed. A friend dragged me to a birthday party. To my absolute shock, I saw Damien Thorne there. He was in a wheelchair, a blanket covering his legs, his right eye bandaged. The recent scandal was still fresh gossip. Everyone knew he'd supposedly tried to frame his half-brother over the inheritance. The moment he appeared, people started pointing and whispering. I didn't want any part of their drama. I turned to leave, but Isabel Moreau grabbed my sleeve. Chloe Reynolds, you were there. You saw Damien getting attacked. Why didn't you save him? I was stunned. I turned back and met Damien's gaze. His left eye burned with a hatred I recognized. In our past life, after 10 years of marriage, I only saw that look the moment he pushed me. This time, it surfaced so much sooner. Everyone nearby turned to stare. My heart hammered against my ribs. I shook my head. I didn't see anything. No, you did. Damien found the security footage from that day. Isabel shoved her phone toward me. The footage clearly showed me walking past the mouth of the alley. But the angle was bad. It showed me passing by, but not the moment I had peeked inside. I really didn't see anything, I insisted, trying to keep my voice steady. If I had seen him, of course, I would have tried to help. Hearing me, my friend quickly jumped in to defend me. Don't talk nonsense, Isabel. Everyone knows Chloe has had a huge crush on Damien for years. If she saw him getting beaten up, she would have jumped in to take the hits for him without thinking twice. My friend's words made people nod in agreement. But they also left a bitter taste in my mouth. Yes, last time I loved him enough to willingly take that beating. And my reward was being told, you don't deserve it. But Isabel clearly wasn't letting it go. She held up her phone for everyone to see. Look. All of you, look. She was walking right next to the alley entrance. She definitely saw it. I can't believe the daughter of the Reynolds gym owner would not only watch someone get beaten and do nothing, but also lie about it. Suddenly, all eyes were on me, filled with accusation. Even my friend looked at me with doubt. Yeah, Chloe, someone chimed in. Your dad runs that martial arts gym. You must know some self-defense. Why didn't you help him? Maybe Chloe Reynolds thought if Damien got hurt, she could finally swoop in? Guess she didn't count on Isabel being braver and saving him instead. Bad calculation on her part. The baseless speculation swirled around me. No matter how much I tried to explain, it was useless. Amidst the chorus of accusations, Damien spoke, his voice cold as ice. Chloe Reynolds, I only have one question for you. Did you refuse to save me because Caleb Vance paid you off? The entire party went dead silent. Every single person stared at me. I clutched the fabric of my dress, staring back at him in disbelief. Damien, you know perfectly well I don't even know Caleb Vance. His brow furrowed deeply, making the skin around the gauze patch look even more menacing. After a long, tense moment, he suddenly signaled for Isabel to wheel him away. The situation was left hanging, unresolved. Everyone exchanged confused glances, wondering why he hadn't pressed me further. But a sickening feeling washed over me. A terrible premonition. I had barely left the party when someone clamped a hand over my mouth and nose, dragging me away. Half an hour later, I was shoved onto the dusty floor of an abandoned factory, 3rd floor. Forced to kneel before Damien Thorne. What do you want? I tried to scream. Damien just put a finger to his lips, silencing me with a gesture. Then, strong hands forced my head down, making me bend over. He looked up at me from his wheelchair, his remaining eye glinting maliciously. Chloe Reynolds, why didn't you save me this time? His voice was chillingly calm. It should have been you with the broken leg. You should be blind in one eye. Before I could even process the horrifying implication, that he remembered, his large hand slammed against my back. He shoved me out of the 3rd-story window. Help me! I jolted awake again, gasping. But this time I wasn't back at the alley. I was in a hospital bed. My parents were beside me, their faces etched with worry. Chloe, you're finally awake. What happened? How did you end up in that remote place? Thank God some villagers found you and brought you here. Any later, Anne? My mind instantly flashed to Damien's eyes, crimson and terrifying. He remembered too. He tried to kill me again. A few police officers walked in, their expressions serious. Miss Reynolds, can you recall anything that happened before you fell? Did someone push you, or did you accidentally slip? My mouth opened, Damien's name on the tip of my tongue. But then I thought of Caleb. Caleb had managed to fake an alibi for being out of town. Damien could easily do the same. Besides, I had no proof. None at all. I'm sorry, I whispered, my voice hoarse. I can't remember clearly. The police left their contact information and departed. After a few days in the hospital, my parents rushed me home. My phone had been smashed in the fall, so I hadn't seen any news. Only when I got home did I find out. The security footage of me walking past the alley had been posted online, by Damien. He used the Thorne family's media connections to paint me as a greedy, scheming villain. Someone who conspired with the bastard's son, Caleb, to murder him. And my fall? He spun it as a suicide attempt driven by guilt. In a live video feed, Damien sat in his wheelchair, looking heartbroken and betrayed. Before Chloe Reynolds jumped, he said, his voice thick with fake emotion. She confessed to me. she admitted she brought those men there. If Isabel hadn't shown up when she did, they would have killed me. Then Caleb could have inherited the Thorne fortune without any obstacles. His words ignited a firestorm online. Caleb's out-of-town alibi suddenly seemed irrelevant in the court of public opinion. I stared at the news reports, utterly stunned. Damien was even more ruthless this time around. He found out I didn't die from the fall. So now he was going to destroy my life. Chloe, there's no time to pack. We have to go, now. My parents burst into my room, grabbing my arm. But it was too late. A crowd had already gathered outside our house, reporters, gawking neighbors, and a few grim-faced men I didn't recognize. My dad quickly jammed a hat onto my head, pulling me behind him protectively. "My daughter is innocent," he shouted. Microphones were thrust forward. "Miss Reynolds, is what Mr. Thorne said true? Did you pursue him for years and, when rejected, conspire with Caleb Vance out of hatred to kill him? What was your deal with Caleb? How much did he promise you? Even 5% of the Thorne fortune would set your family up for life, wouldn't it? Miss Reynolds, don't you feel any guilt for almost killing the man you supposedly loved?" The questions came one after another, sharp and accusing. I clenched my fists, yelling into the nearest microphone. "No. It's all lies. Damien is making it up. I've never even met Caleb Vance." People in the crowd held up their phones, recording. They didn't believe me. Someone shouted, "Caleb Vance is a wanted fugitive now. Of course, you'd deny it. Otherwise, you'd be an accomplice." I tried desperately to argue, to make them listen. Suddenly, a rock flew through the air, hitting the side of the house. Everyone jumped back. My parents shoved me away. "Go. We'll handle this. It's no use explaining now. Go hide at a friend's place for a few days. Wait for Mom and Dad to come get you." I pulled the brim of my hat lower, covering my face. I started running, my mind racing, trying to think where I could possibly go. But more importantly, I needed proof. Proof to clear my name. Otherwise, even in this life, I wouldn't escape his clutches. Or maybe I should just focus on getting out of the country. Disappear forever and never. Chloe Reynolds. Looking for me? That chilling voice, straight from my nightmares, echoed from ahead. I skidded to a halt. Lifting my head, I saw him. Caleb Vance, casually tossing a short knife in his hand, a cruel smirk on his face. Several tough-looking men stood behind him. "So," he drawled, "I hear you're the one who pointed the finger at me? Told Damien I was the one trying to kill him? I don't even know you. Even if you're desperately in love with that asshole, why the hell would you frame me for his sake?" I spun around to run, but the path behind me was blocked too. With dawning horror, I realized where I was. Back in the same goddamn alley. But this time I was the one surrounded. Caleb gestured with the knife. "Go on. Cut off both her ears. Send them to Damien Thorne. A little birthday present." The moment mirrored my past life perfectly. Last time, Caleb had ordered his men to cover Damien's eyes. He was going to cut off Damien's ears as a gruesome gift for his father. I had screamed, cried, begged him to stop. Annoyed, he'd lashed out, plunging the knife into my ear instead. I woke up later in the hospital to a world of silence. Damien held me, trembling, scribbling apologies on paper over and over. But all those sorries eventually boiled down to one phrase. "You don't deserve it. Caleb. This has nothing to do with me from start to finish. If you want revenge, go find Damien Thorne." I pleaded desperately. Besides, Damien doesn't give a shit about me. Cutting off my ears won't hurt him at all. A dark smile touched Caleb's lips. The knife edged closer. "You've got a point there," he conceded slowly. "He loves that woman." I followed his gaze. Isabel Moreau was there too, gagged and bound. Her face was pale with terror, tears streaming down her cheeks. Your ears, Caleb mused, tapping the knife against his palm. Her eyes. That ought to make Damien Thorne feel something, wouldn't you say? 4 men moved, 2 towards me, 2 towards Isabel. I struggled frantically, looking for any escape route, but I was completely surrounded. Just as the blades were about to strike, Damien's urgent shout echoed from the alley entrance. Caleb! Let them go! The knife points froze inches from us. Caleb turned, looking amused. Let them go? Sure. But you know what I want. He positioned Isabel and me side by side, facing Damien. But Damien only had eyes for Isabel. His gaze was fixed solely on her terrified face. Let Isabel go, Damien choked out, his knuckles white on his wheelchair. I'll give you 30% of the Thorne family assets. Caleb laughed, a harsh, grating sound. The woman you love? Only worth 30%? He gestured, and the knife point moved back toward Isabel's eye. She whimpered, shaking uncontrollably behind the gag. Damien's voice cracked. 50. I'll give you half. 70%, Caleb countered smoothly. The knife tip pressed against the delicate skin near her eye socket. Fine. 70. Take it. Damien screamed. Isabel was released and stumbled toward Damien, collapsing into his arms, sobbing hysterically. He held her tight, murmuring words of comfort, his face full of anguish and relief. He started to wheel her away. Hey, Caleb called out suddenly. You took the one you love. What about the one who loves you? Damien's cold, emotionless gaze flickered toward me for a fraction of a second. Do whatever you want with her, he said flatly. It'd be better if she died. Even though I knew he hated me. Even though I knew deep down he wouldn't save me. Hearing those words directly from his lips shattered the last vestiges of hope within me. Tears of despair streamed down my face. From the first moment he walked into my family's gym, I had fallen for him. He used to get into fights with other students for me. He'd run out on hot days just to buy me ice cream. Even after he stopped training, he'd still come by, just to make sure no one was bullying me. The same person who once protected me now wished I was dead. Caleb clutched the signed agreement, his eyes sweeping over my tear-streaked face. Chloe Reynolds, isn't it? He sneered. Don't you feel pathetic, throwing yourself at him like this? Numbly, I collapsed onto the dirty ground. Under his condescending gaze, I could only nod. The next day, Damien released another video. He'd hidden a camera in his collar. The footage showed Caleb holding Isabel hostage, threatening Damien for the family fortune. It portrayed Damien as a tragic hero, sacrificing everything for the woman he loved. Deeply moving, everyone said. Except I was completely edited out. It was like I hadn't even been there. With this new video evidence, Caleb's denials were useless. His guilt for attempted murder was sealed in the public eye. Wanted posters were everywhere. Even Damien's father publicly disowned Caleb. By this time, I had already changed my name. With my parents' help, I boarded a plane. Right before turning off my phone, I uploaded one last video file to the internet. Then I snapped the SIM card in half. I vanished. Meanwhile, Damien Thorne was holding a press conference. In front of flashing cameras, he got down on one knee. Metaphorically, from his wheelchair. Proposing to Isabel Moreau. Just as the ring was about to slide onto her finger, the atmosphere in the room shifted. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My video was playing on the large screen behind them. The first face scene was Damien's. He stood on a cliff edge with a group of thugs. Hurry up, he snapped in the video. If anyone finds out, we're all screwed. The man beside Damien nodded grimly. They dragged forward a woman, bound and gagged, sobbing uncontrollably. Damien pulled out a short knife. He carved a bloody cross onto the woman's face. You let your son try to steal my inheritance, he spat viciously. You think you had the right? Don't worry, you can die peacefully now. It won't be long before I send Caleb down to join you. Then, he lifted his foot and kicked the woman hard, sending her plunging off the cliff. The video ended with my voice, altered by a voice changer. Damien Thorne, you murdered Caleb Vance's biological mother. You owe a life for a life. Thanks to Damien Thorne being such a goddamn spectacle, the press conference was packed. More reporters than I'd ever seen in one place. Every single one of them saw the video. They swarmed him like sharks smelling blood. Mr. Thorne. Is that you in the video? Did you murder Caleb Vance's biological mother? So Caleb tried to kill you for revenge, is that right? Care to comment? Standing here proposing marriage like a fucking murderer, don't you feel even a shred of guilt? Damien panicked. His first instinct was to run. But with his broken leg, trapped in that fucking wheelchair, there was nowhere to go. Isabel covered her face. The engagement ring slipped from her grasp and clattered to the floor. She turned on him, her voice frantic. Damien, what the hell is going on? You told me you never did anything to piss off Caleb. How the fuck should I know where that video came from? Damien stammered. I swear I. Then Damien suddenly seemed to remember something. He fumbled, looking down, probably for his phone. But another microphone was shoved right in his face. Mr. Thorne, the police are likely on their way right now. Are you going to deny these charges? Murder means prison time. Did you do something this brutal just for money? Is the Thorne fortune really worth more than a human life? Damien's anger finally ignited. He violently shoved the nearest reporter, sending them stumbling back. On every camera feed, his eyes blazed crimson. Exactly like in the murder video. Get out, he roared. All of you, get the fuck out. Bodyguards finally pushed through the chaos onto the stage. They hustled him and Isabel away. In the car, Damien frantically kept calling my number. Isabel, beside him, was rambling. Damien, say something. Is it true? Did you actually kill someone? Shut up, Damien shot her a venomous look. She immediately fell silent. But he quickly realized his tone was wrong. He softened his voice. Caleb faked his alibi at that auction, didn't he? He said, trying to steady his breath. A video like this can obviously be faked too. Don't believe it. Oh, thank God, Isabel breathed, though doubt lingered in her eyes. You need to clear this up, Damien. Fast. Or your life is over. He kept dialing my unreachable number. He slammed his fist against the back of the front seat. Damn that Chloe Reynolds. She's fucking hiding. Isabel frowned. This has something to do with her? Damien didn't answer. But he knew. He knew I was the one who released the video. Because that day, when he snuck away to murder Caleb's mother, he forgot about the one person who might follow him out of stupid, blind love, wanting to surprise him for his birthday. Me. Last year, on his birthday, I thought he was going up the mountain to pray or some shit. So I grabbed his gift and secretly followed him. I never expected to witness him commit murder with my own eyes. I recorded the video in a panic. Just in case someone found out I was there. A little insurance policy for myself. In my past life, even though I ended up crippled and paralyzed after marrying him, I convinced myself I was happy. So I deleted the video back then. I never once thought of using it against him. But this time around, Damien made it brutally clear. He wanted me dead. I had no choice but to use it. To protect myself. But even knowing I sent it wouldn't help him now. Because I had changed my name, changed my identity. I had vanished completely. A month passed. I started to let go of the past, embracing my new life. But sometimes, late at night, alone, I couldn't resist checking the news. Searching for the latest updates on Damien Thorne. I saw the Thorne family's PR machine working overtime. Spending a fortune on lawyers. Claiming the video was doctored, spliced together. Soon enough, Damien was released on bail. He disappeared from public view. Meanwhile, Caleb Vance remained elusive. The reward for his capture was increased twice, but still nothing. I worried one of them, or both, might eventually track me down. I decided it was time to move on, to another country. But just as I finished packing, I looked up. Damien's father, Mr. Thorne, stood in my doorway, looking utterly exhausted. "Chloe," he said, his voice heavy. "You've made us search for a very long time." Instantly, alarm bells screamed in my head. I grabbed the fruit knife from the entryway table. Mr. Thorne noticed my movement. He sighed. "That video, you released it, didn't you?" I checked the security footage from the base of the mountain. "The only person following Damien that day was you." My voice was ice. "So what? Are you here to kill me?" Suddenly, everything clicked into place. He knew I had the video too. So, in my past life, when he forced Damien to marry me, it wasn't gratitude for saving his son's life. All his kindness toward me wasn't because he approved of me as a daughter-in-law. It was all about control. Keeping me docile, sedated with false affection. Making sure I never shared that video. Ensuring his precious son never faced consequences. This whole fucking family had been acting around me for 10 years. They let me become paralyzed, isolated me from everyone. And once they were sure I was no longer a threat, they planned to simply dispose of me. Let me die. Pure, unadulterated hatred surged up from the depths of my soul. You built the Thorne Empire on real estate, didn't you? Or was it really built on being fucking gangsters behind the scenes? A flicker of something, anger? Recognition, flashed in Mr. Thorne's eyes. But it vanished as quickly as it appeared, replaced by weary resignation. "Forget it," he sighed. "Damien, you talk to her." He stepped aside. Isabel Moreau wheeled Damien Thorne forward until he was right in front of me. I hadn't seen him in a month. Damien had clearly lost weight. He looked rough, scruffy, and utterly pathetic. Isabel wasn't the picture of glamour anymore either. A hat and mask obscured most of her face, clearly terrified of being recognized. "Chloe, don't be afraid," Damien started, his voice strained. "We're not here to cause trouble. I need you to come back with me and testify. Testify that on the day Caleb's mother died, I was with you, celebrating my birthday." I almost laughed. It was fucking ridiculous. "Damien, the whole world has seen that video. Even if I lie for you, what difference would it make?" "It makes all the difference," he insisted, desperation clawing at his voice. "If you testify, I can convince people the video is fake." I gestured toward Isabel behind him. "Why not ask her? She's your fiancée. Her saying she spent your birthday with you would be far more believable." Isabel glared at me, her voice sharp. "I wasn't even in the country that day. No one would believe me if I testified. Since you're the one who filmed the damn video, you're the only one whose testimony matters." Damien held up a hand to quiet Isabel. He forced a look of profound sadness onto his face. "Chloe," he said, trying to sound pathetic. "I know you hate me. I know I've done terrible things. But please, give me a chance to make it up to you. If you just help me testify, get me through this, we'll get married. You'll be the savior of our family." Mr. Thorne nodded gravely beside them. But I held the knife tighter, my gaze clear and steady. "I don't believe a single word you say. You know I released the video. There's no way you'd ever actually let me live peacefully after this." Isabel's impatience boiled over. She pointed a shaking finger at me, spitting words. "Isn't this what you wanted all along? All this drama just to force Damien to marry you? Well, congratulations, bitch. You got your wish. He just said he'll marry you. What more could you possibly want?" I raised the knife, aiming it squarely at them. This whole mess had nothing to do with me from the start. You're the ones who dragged me into your shit. I've already called the cops. If you don't leave now, you won't make it out. Faint sirens wailed in the distance. Isabel started trembling first. She quickly spun Damien's wheelchair around and bolted. Mr. Thorne gave me one last, long, penetrating look. Miss Reynolds, he said, his voice low. You just threw away a chance at a life of unimaginable wealth and luxury. But if you change your mind, it's not too late. I pointed the knife directly at him. Hatred dripped from my voice, forced between clenched teeth. Get out. I wouldn't believe a single fucking word out of your mouth. They finally left. I let out a long, shuddering breath. I went back inside, grabbed my bags, and headed straight for the airport. While waiting for my flight, I went to the restroom. As I approached the door, I heard Isabel Moreau's voice. The Thorns are pulling out all the stops, she was saying, her voice low and tense. Even with the murder video, they might get Damien off. Then a low male voice responded. My brain instantly short-circuited. It was Caleb Vance. His parents clawed their way to the top, stepping over bodies, Caleb said grimly. There's no way they'll let their precious son rot in prison. We need another plan. If we can't bring down the whole damn family, taking out Damien Thorne alone would still be worth it. My eyes flew wide. I clamped a hand over my mouth, unable to breathe. Caleb and Isabel, they were working together? Holy shit. Suddenly, my phone chose that exact moment to ring, echoing loudly in the tiled restroom. I scrambled frantically through my bag to silence it. But it was too late. The stall door in front of me burst open, kicked inwards. Caleb Vance and Isabel Moreau stood there. Their eyes locked onto mine, cold and hard. Before Caleb's fist could connect with my face, I threw my hands up. Wait. We want the same thing. I want Damien Thorne dead just as much as you do. His fist stopped inches from my nose. Caleb narrowed his eyes, skeptical. Why the hell should we believe you? Everyone knows you were fucking obsessed with him. I backed away until my back hit the cold tile wall, forcing myself to stay calm. If I loved him, would I have released that video? He pushed me out of a fucking window. He framed me. And that day you tied us up in the alley? He didn't lift a finger to save me. He said it would be better if I died. How could I possibly love a monster like that? Caleb and Isabel exchanged a look, but their guard was still up. Isabel, all traces of her previous damsel in distress act gone, asked coldly. This isn't just another act? Some twisted way to get him to marry you? I shook my head vehemently. I hate him. If I could, I'd kill him with my own hands. They looked at each other again. Slowly, Caleb lowered his fist. The implied threat of a knife vanished too. All right, Caleb said slowly. We'll trust you. But first, you have to go back with Damien. Testify for him. 2 days later, I was sitting in Damien Thorne's car, sobbing. Damien, I choked out between fake tears. I only lied for you. You have to promise you won't betray me again. He couldn't hide the triumphant glint in his eye. His fingers trembled as he grabbed my wrist. Don't worry, Chloe, he said, his voice thick with false sincerity. You saved me. I'll give you the happiness you deserve. Soon, we arrived at the press conference venue. Damien had learned his lesson this time. The reporters present were all ones he knew, ones supposedly on his payroll. As soon as the conference began, I launched into my performance. Tears streaming down my face. The video is fake. I cried, my voice breaking. Last year, on Damien's birthday, he was with me the whole time. He couldn't have been there. A reporter, likely playing his part, asked. Miss Reynolds, there were rumors you released the video. Why testify for Mr. Thorne now? I didn't release it. I sobbed. Damien didn't do what the video shows. He's innocent. Under the glare of countless cameras, Damien put on his own show, his eyes red-rimmed. "This is all Caleb Vance is doing," he lamented. "Trying to steal the family fortune, stirring up trouble. My poor parents are worried sick. My mother even ended up in the hospital. I've been so unfilial." The reporters exchanged glances, perhaps about to ask more probing questions. But I grabbed a microphone first. My tearful demeanor vanished, replaced by cold fury. "Mr. Thorne," I said, my voice suddenly clear and loud. "I've done what you asked. I said what you wanted me to say. Now, please, I'm begging you, let my parents go." Flashes exploded like fireworks. Chaos erupted. "Miss Reynolds, were you coerced into giving this testimony? Does this mean Mr. Thorne really committed murder and kidnapped your parents to silence you?" I nodded, still crying, but this time the tears were real. Tears of rage and vindication. Damien realized he'd been played. He lunged, shouting for his bodyguards to throw the reporters out. He whipped his head around, his face contorted with fury, glaring straight at me. "You tricked me?" Tears still flowed, but I leaned in, speaking in a low voice only he could hear. "The moment you pushed me off that cliff in my last life, I started dreaming about killing you myself. Even if I can't kill you in this life, I'll make damn sure your name is dragged through the mud forever." His eyes widened, bulging with disbelief and rage. "Chloe Reynolds. I'll fucking kill you." His hands shot out, closing around my neck, squeezing. Just as my vision started to dim, the barricades holding back the press broke. Reporters and cameramen surged forward. What Damien didn't know was that the bodyguards, the reporters, nearly everyone in that room, had been bought off by Caleb Vance. And every single camera? They weren't just recording. They were broadcasting live. Damien Thorne only realized the full extent of his fuck-up when the police dragged him away. The image of him trying to strangle me had been broadcast live to the world. Everyone had seen him attempt murder with their own eyes. Mr. Thorne spent nearly half the family fortune on lawyers, but this time, the evidence was undeniable. There was no justification, no loophole, no bail. After some time locked away, facing the inevitable, Damien broke. He confessed everything. Not just about Caleb's mother, but other dark secrets too. The dirty dealings, the past crimes his parents committed to build their empire, it all came spilling out. The internet exploded. Public opinion turned irrevocably against them. The Thorne family empire crumbled into dust. There was no coming back. On the day Damien and his parents were formally sentenced, all three heading to prison for a very long time, I was helping out at my dad's martial arts gym. One of the students told me two people were outside asking for me. I went out and saw Caleb Vance leaning against a tree, smoking a cigarette. Isabel Moreau stood beside him, waving me over with a small smile. She handed me a cup of bubble tea. "So, what are your plans now?" she asked. I took the drink. "I think I'll learn martial arts properly from my dad. Taking over the gym someday doesn't sound too bad." She glanced at Caleb, then back at me. "We're leaving after we tie up one last loose end. We won't see each other again after this. If you ever need to find us—" "No," I interrupted gently. "It's better if we don't see each other again." She paused, seemed to understand, and finally sighed. "Yeah. I guess you're right." Caleb straightened up, his voice neutral. "I never properly introduced you. Isabel is my girlfriend. She only got close to Damien to help me get revenge for my mother. That second time in the alley," he continued. "I was planning to finish him then and there. But I suspected he might have a hidden camera, maybe even streaming live. Had to let him go temporarily." He looked me in the eye, a hint of apology there. Sorry about, before. Everyone said you were crazy in love with him. I figured you were on his side." Isabel offered a genuine smile this time. I smiled back and nodded. "How's your ear?" I asked her, remembering the wound from the alley. She shrugged. "It's fine. Trading one ear for the downfall of the entire Thorne family? Totally worth it. We only talked for a few more minutes. Then they waved goodbye and walked away. I watched them go, thinking about the past life. Caleb caught by the police in that alley, sentenced to years in prison. Isabel dying in that plane crash. They must have carried so many regrets. But thankfully, in this life, they didn't give up. Another month went by. I was finally moving past the darkness, starting to feel whole again. Then, sudden news broke: Damien Thorne had escaped from prison. The very same day, reports came in of a small private plane crash. The crash site was horrific, bodies mangled beyond easy recognition. The news released a list of the 5 victims confirmed dead. Damien Thorne. His father. His mother. Caleb Vance. And Isabel Moreau. I stared at the list, frozen. I remembered that in my past life, the plane Isabel died on was this exact flight number. Numbly, my dad called me over to greet a new student. Coming. I called back. As I walked past the window, I glanced outside at the tree near the entrance of the gym. 2 figures stood beneath it. They wore hats and masks, but their eyes were achingly familiar. My own eyes welled up. I wanted to wave, to call out, but I was afraid someone else might see. After a long moment, Isabel raised her hand in a small, subtle wave. I smiled through my tears and nodded back. Caleb gently patted her shoulder. They turned and walked away, disappearing down the street. They never appeared again after that day. They never appeared again after that day. And me? I inherited my dad's martial arts gym. I stepped into my new life.